I'm Doug Holdreed. This slideshow is designed to accompany Exploring Art, a Global Thematic Approach, Chapter 6, What Do We Do with Art? We do a lot of things with art. We use it for decoration, we use it to enhance religious rituals and as an aid in prayer. Sometimes it's a form of entertainment. Sometimes it's used to reinforce leadership and political power. We keep it around for different reasons and put it in museums and preserve it. Sometimes it's destroyed. Sometimes we see that happening in war. And we study art. Art historians and art critics, archaeologists are all people who study art for various reasons and in different ways. The Roman Colosseum is an example of a work of art that was used for entertainment. There were gladiator contests that took place in the Colosseum, as well as a variety of other forms of entertainment. We see here scenes from the Great Winter Ceremony that celebrated among the Native American people in British Columbia in Canada. In this case, art is used to enhance and facilitate a religious ceremony, and it reconnects these native people with powerful forces in nature. This piece, titled "The Dinner Party" by the artist Judy Chicago, celebrates the lost history of many famous women. Contemporary women often feel empowered by what they see in works of art like this. This is a retablo. It's a form of folk art that's found in chapels in Mexico, and it's really a prayer of thanksgiving. You can see in this one that thanks are being given for a successful medical procedure. When we think about keeping art, we think about art collections, museums as well as private collections. Museums maintained by governments, and museums that preserve and restore works of art. But sometimes in more traditional cultures and societies, art isn't kept in museums, but it's kept alive among the people. This beadworked headdress belonging to the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria is a way of preserving and identifying the culture which exists in different countries of Africa. So the headdress and the traditional garb of these people gives them a sense of their artistic heritage and their religious ideas and their national pride or their cultural pride as a people. The Greeks used art in a similar way to preserve and remember and glorify their national past, the heritage of their culture. This Aztec headdress was given to Cortez by Moctezuma as tribute, as a way of showing respect and deference to this conqueror Cortez. Sometimes works of art are carried off to museums and other places. This piece of Egyptian art today is in the British Museum in London. The Parthenon, the Greek temple to the goddess Athena, had lots of different uses during its long history. The Romans used it as a brothel. Later on it became a Christian church, and during the time of the Ottoman Empire it was transformed into an Islamic mosque. Later the Turks used the Parthenon to store munitions. So this building has had lots of different uses. Today it's a tourist attraction. Museums are also works of art. This building is quite obviously modeled after a Greek temple. This is the British Museum in London, and of course it holds a lot of works of art, but it in itself is also a work of art. Another museum, which is an architectural work of art, is the Guggenheim Museum in New York City, which was designed by the American architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Here's a museum that was built on top of a work of art. This is the Museum of Qin in China, and it houses thousands of terracotta soldiers and horse figures. And instead of trying to move these amazing works of art to some other location, a building was constructed right on top of this ancient tomb. Sometimes the preservation of a work of art actually hinders the enjoyment and appreciation of it. This is a shot taken inside the Louvre in Paris, France, of people trying to get a look at the Mona Lisa. It's protected by walls and by bulletproof glass, and the lighting on the painting itself is actually very subdued in order to help to preserve the painting. The cave paintings from the Paleolithic period that have been discovered in Lascaux in southern France actually had to be closed off and the public prohibited from visiting them because the exhalation, the carbon dioxide that was being breathed by people was having a detrimental effect on the paintings. Today, if you go to Lascaux to see the paintings, what you'll see is an exact reproduction of the paintings in a separate cave, but you can't get in there to see the original paintings anymore. A more modern art medium that is becoming fragile and being lost is film, especially the old cellulose films, which today have been, many of which have been replaced by videotapes, but nobody really knows how long videotapes will last either. Artists like Bill Viola, who work in very high-tech, state-of-the-art media, have to consider that when they create their works and preserve their works. They also try to preserve with their artistic creations the technology that they used to create it and to display it. An issue that comes up again and again with art is the whole question of restoration. Should works of art be restored, and should attempts be made to bring them back to their original condition, or should we just take what we have without trying to mess around with it? The old films, the earliest color films like the one that you see here, Gone with the Wind, have faded over time, and some of the modern restorations have actually more vivid color than the original films had. It was at one time thought that Michelangelo painted with very subdued dark colors until a restoration was done on the Sistine Chapel, and we discovered that he actually worked with very brilliant high intensity colors. Sometimes works of art are deliberately destroyed. These are shots of some carvings, statues of the Buddha being blown up by the Taliban in Afghanistan. Of course, the Taliban. Here's a really old building that is always new. This is a Shinto temple, and part of the tradition is to completely rebuild the temple in a ritual way every 20 years.